here's a couple of other places you can go. Podmatch. Write it down. And actually, if you're editing this episode, make sure Podmatch, the link is in the show notes. Alex Sanfilippo, good friend of mine, great guy, owns it. He runs it. I met him through podcasting, and, we've just really hit it off. So the owner of Podmatch is a great guy. They do a great job. And apparently, I didn't know this, or I didn't take advantage of this. Apparently, you also can make money when you interview somebody off of Podmatch. So it's kind of cool because I think I pay 20 or 40 bucks a month, and I was happy to pay that. I was happy to pay whatever the cost is to be a part of Podmatch, more than happy to pay. But when I was talking to Alex Sanfilippo and asking him for some suggestions on people, he mentioned that if I interview, he goes, here's a bunch of people that I think are going to be great for your show. And as an added bonus, they're all on the Podmatch platform already. And that means you can make money when you interview them. I'm like, what? I can make money when I interview them. So it's kind of cool. It's not going to be a ton of money, but I think it's going to be something like 20 to 40 bucks per interview. And so if I pay 20 to 40 bucks per month, and I'm just going to interview 6 people that he suggested, I've already won. That's 120 bucks ish of money made. And that's 20 bucks ish of money spent. So I'm netting 100 bucks that month. And all I'm doing is just interviewing people. So a great resource, Podmatch. If you're editing this episode, I want you to also add Podbooker. If you're listening, I want you to use Podmatch and Podbooker. Different people are on at different times doing different things. They're run in different ways, and you're going to have a lot of overlap where you're connecting with some of the same people, but also you're going to be able to make sure that you're outreaching to the right people and being able to have the right guests for your show. Podmatch and Podbooker help you become a guest for their shows too. And Podmatch and Podbooker allow you to get guests. So this is just a benefit. Reaching out to friends is a good way to get guests. Going to Facebook groups. So this is another thing that I did. I went to a Facebook group and I looked for people that were posting and or talking about their show. And then I would just comment within the comments of the post that, hey, love what you're doing. Would love to interview you about blank, whatever they're talking about. Let's just say one of them talks about how do I get good guests for my show, or they talk about how do I make money from my show? How do I monetize? Something like that. So I'll reach out, I'll read it, and I'll think to myself, this is good content. And then maybe they give like takeaways, maybe they give the steps to it. And I go, hey, these steps would be really valuable to my podcast listener. Would you be open to coming on my show and I can feature you on my show as a guest? That's basically all I say in the comments. And I would say probably 9 out of 10 times they say yes, and 1 out of 10 times they don't see it. So you get pretty good odds when you do that. So go to these Facebook groups, these Facebook communities. Another tip or trick that my mom did in the Facebook community. So what I'm telling you I'm doing is I'm only looking at the people that have posted. I'm only looking at people that have posted. And if I like it, and if I believe in it, if I think it's going to be valuable to my listener, if it's going to be valuable to you, then I'll bring them on. And what others have done, an idea that my mom did, is she actually made a post in 1 or 2 of these places that was to connect with potential guests for her show. And she was able to get a lot of guests, whereas she was worried about it in the beginning. And now she's like, holy cow, I got plenty. And I remember reading a post in one of these Facebook podcast communities where my mother, she said, oh my gosh, I'm paraphrasing, of course. She said something like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect it. That was really cool. This group is just awesome because I was worried about getting guests. And now you guys got me the first 3 months of my guests all at once. And it's a lot of good people. Now, again, I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the post in front of me, but it was a post of gratitude and amazement that her goal was achieved in a very quick way just by making a post on one of these groups. So there's some ideas is for you. Facebook groups, Podmatch, Podbooker, asking for referrals, reaching out to people that you see, and having your team reach out to previous guests as well.